the appraisal process, looking at it from his perspective, the way, you look at repairs, conditions, how it affects our local market or how it improves our local market. So to really have this opportunity, I'm so appreciative to have you do and teach this class today. So welcome, Mr. Scott. Come on.
So I wanted to give you guys knowledge today on what to do when you meet the appraiser. We're also going to go over some of the FHA guidelines and some of the repairs that are required. We don't do a ton of FHA here in Corona, but I know a lot of us do Riverside and San Bernardino and the other areas around here. So I'm going to tell you guys exactly what I'm going to look for as an appraiser and the guidelines, what you need to have done before I get there, because I'm going to call out those issues. And if I have to call those items out, that means I have to come back, sign off on them, and delays the whole process. Also, we're going to go over some general adjustments, what happens if your appraisal comes in low, what's going on in the appraisal world, and then I'll answer any questions you guys might have. If you have any questions on stuff we're going over, ask right away. If you got some general questions, just wait till the end and I'll answer any questions you guys have. White tile countertops where we had granite, or anything else you could say why they shouldn't use that comp or why it's so lower. So you can justify to him, because he's going to pull that comp. If you don't explain it to him, he can look at pictures and see, but maybe there's another reason that that one came in lower and what the reason is. Or maybe it was just a low sale. Maybe you talk to the agent or know the agent and they say they just wanted to dump it and they just sold it real quick. Well, you explain that to the appraiser so he has more information. So make sure when you meet them, you bring the RPA and any counters, you bring comps and the good ones, the one you want to use, and even the ones that are bad ones, and try to explain those away. Because you have one shot. Once that appraiser does that appraisal and turns it in, and then the value doesn't come in, the chances of you getting that turned over are slim and none. In the last 10 years, I think I've changed one value that I've already turned in. Because now he's admitting that, the appraiser is admitting that he's wrong, and we get reviewed everywhere where they're trying to take our license away for whatever reason, so they're not going to change their value. Once they turn it in, you're pretty much dead. So that's why you really want to meet the appraiser and make sure they have all that information up front, and they're going to use that information and bring the value in from the very beginning. So make sure you guys meet the appraiser there. Usually you can tell the ones that are smoke and carbon. The one that has two holes on it is the carbon and the smoke. The one that has just one is just the smoke. So that's how, if you look up and they say, yeah, I think that one is one, and you look up and you see there's only kind of one hole, that's usually just a smoke. So that's kind of usually how I know that it's not both. But that's pretty easy. But the carbons are coming so different now. They're coming, they usually were rectangle, now they're coming in square, now they're coming in all different colors. So also another big one is dog doors in between the house and the garage. You cannot, that's a fire door. And so you cannot have a door in that door, dog door in that door, even if they have a covered whatever. So I'm going to ask for that to be replaced with a fire door. I know on an inspection report I just had on one of my listings that this guy asked for, it's a one-story house. They had a carbon in the kitchen, they had a carbon in front of 2 bedrooms, and the master was kind of over here. That inspector called out a 3rd carbon monoxide detector, and it's 1 story and I had 2, and he wanted 3. And that was just to let you know, the appraiser might tell you. It's another good point too, is that when you are done with the appraisal process, ask the appraiser, saying, hey, just so I can get a head start or anything, did you notice anything in here that you're going to put on a report that I need to fix? So, and let him actually say, hey, that's that. I see a water stain. I don't know what that is. I know you told me it's all leak, but if there's a water stain there, he's going to ask for a 2-year roof cert. I don't know if it's an old stain. And I got to point it out. So, before the appraiser, before even really you want to show any buyers, you want that to go away because everyone's going to question that anyway. So, it's not that hard to fix. Hopefully, if it's an old stain, you just need to repaint that area so it doesn't stand out. Let's see what else we got. On page 4, 203Ks. I don't know if anyone did 203Ks in here, but on page 4 I put a link where you can go on there in the guidelines for 203Ks. I don't want to go through it there. Manufactured homes is on page 5. I don't even appraise manufactured homes anymore because it's so hard to determine which are on permanent foundation, which ones aren't on permanent foundation. but I did put a link on there for you guys as well about and some guidelines for manufactured homes. They have to have the HUD certificate. It has to be built after 1976, or FHA will not insure manufactured homes. Let's see. How to handle grading and drainage. On page 6, if I go out there and they happen to have the sprinklers on or whatever on, and the water's draining towards the house, I'm going to call that out. So either turn the sprinklers off, or when you walk around the house and the appraiser's there, you can't have standing water under the house or water draining towards the house. It has to drain away from the house. So I'm going to be looking for that when I walk around the house. So beware and make sure that the house drains away from the house, or, like I said, turn the sprinklers off.
Or CDX plywood, whatever is, as far as the deck. When it rains, when the builder is building the house and it rains, it stains, and that stain is there forever. So how would I approach the appraiser?
But we just can't be on the ground. So I'm going to come back and say this wall is all peely painty, I'm going to say, get rid of that and then repaint it. And then I'm going to come back whenever you say it's done, and I'm going to make sure it's not on the ground, and if it's all been repainted, I'm good.
Is that for all appraisers?
Yep. Yep. As long as it's been repaired. Most people hire someone just to go scrape it off, and it always ends up on the ground. So just make sure they put something down and get rid of it. On page 11,
they only use site condos, right?
Correct. Especially in Corona, we have 6 or 7 different neighborhoods that they've called site condos.
So if there's no site condos to go by, which I'm sure that wouldn't happen.
Right.
Will they pull in single family residents?
They will. That's where go expand your parameters from there. So, but if I do a site condo, I'm looking for other likes for likes. So I'm looking for other site condos, even though the next neighborhood you can't tell the difference. And a lot of times when we go do appraisals, we're going, okay, is this a site condo, or is this, a PUD, or is this for us to even try to find the information out? Sometimes we got to call the HOA, call title, find out exactly what this is. Usually, if there's a lot in track, it's a PUD. If it's a unit number, then usually it's a site condo. So, but usually, to answer your question, fortunately, especially in Corona, there's enough of those out. They're going to go to a different complex if they have to, that are going to use other site condos.
Okay, so you've got one lousy site condo, and then you've got 2 or 3 good single-family residences. Will they pull in, or will they just use that single-family residence? I mean, the site.
Chances are they're going to use that site condo, and then they're going to go a mile away to the other site condo.
Right.
Is what they're going to do before they're going to pull the SFRs. But if there's nothing else, they go 3 miles away and there's no site condos to use, then they will go to the SFRs, and then they're going to do something. Write this down for every time you meet an appraiser and you want to try to make a point. It's called paired sales analysis. This is how we determine every adjustment we do. And that is by looking at, let's see, ours has a view and this one doesn't have a view. How much is that view worth? To determine that, you got to do something called a paired sales analysis. And that is basically find another model match that didn't have a view and yours had a view. Oh look, it sold $20,000 difference, and that's how you come up with your number of what the view is worth. So, if you happen to go meet an appraiser and your house is at the top end of the scale of the neighborhood but has a view and it's got upgrades and so forth, you might say, look, here's a comp that's $20,000 low. I did a paired sales analysis and use that word, and the view is worth $20,000, and you go back in time, go back a year, go back 2 years. Say, look, here's a model match on this side of the street, here's a model match on this side of the street. I know this was 2 years ago, but look, it was a $20,000 difference or a percentage. It was 5% of this price. So now take it to today's terms and go that 5% on this side. But if you can give them that number, they'll use that number. They should use that number because you're proving to them what that number is for that view, or for that pool and spa, or for those upgrades, or whatever. But that's what we put on every appraisal. Underwriter comes back, how did you get to this, adjustment? And I come back and say, I did a paired sales analysis of the neighborhood, and this is what I came up with. Let me give you some general guidelines on adjustments. I'm going to give you some general guidelines, but again, every neighborhood is different and what the adjustments are for. But I'm just going to give you some general guidelines to go with, and it might apply exactly to your house, it might not, but at least you can have a general idea. Most realtors what they do to try to figure the value of a house, they say, look, it's $240 per square foot on the MLS, and I multiply that times their square footage of their house and come up with a number. That's absolutely how we appraisers do not do it. So, and your buyers might say that, your sellers might say that. I've had buyers say all the time, oh, I'm not going to buy that house, it's the most expensive per square foot in the neighborhood. We do a grid, which you guys have seen appraisals, we do a grid, we do about 40 different adjustments or 20 different adjustments. So square footage is just one adjustment we make. So if it has a 2-car to a 3-car, that's an adjustment. Does it have a pool or a non-pool? Another adjustment. Lot size to their lot size. Does it have a view? Does this one have granite and or highly upgraded, and this one has white tile and vinyl floors? So we do adjustments all the way down the road, so it's not just one adjustment for square footage. So make sure when you go on listing appointments and so forth and say this is how the appraiser is going to do it, look at the difference between these comps and this is how they're going to adjust. So I'm going to give you some guidelines on the square footage. Go with something like on a $500,000 house, you would adjust, let's say you do $50 for living area. On a $400,000 house, adjust $40 per square foot. On a $300,000 house, $30 a square foot. Very general, not guaranteed that's going to be exactly right for your neighborhood because we got to do paired sales analysis, but that's just kind of a general guideline. You get up into the higher end range, up into the $750 range, $75 a square foot. Just a general guideline, so you don't use the $240 number or the $200 a square foot number to adjust for square footage. Square feet difference. So if your house is a 2,000 square foot house, I want to use comps somewhere between, if it's a 2,000 square foot house, I want to be between 1,500 and 2,500. I don't want to be using a 2,900 square foot house. That's not considered the same thing. So when you meet the appraiser, they have to do these things. They're not trying to beat up your deal, but they're just trying to do their job because we're getting reviewed a ton by conventional and FHA right now. It's getting pretty intense. Yeah.
VA kind of mirrors FHA and a lot of those things we talked about today. Are there any differentiations that stand out on the VA versus the FHA?
I don't do VA, even though I just applied to do VA today, actually. But VA, the biggest difference, I can't remember what the word is, but I guess I'll have to learn it. If you go meet a VA appraiser and the appraisal is not going to come in, they give you a chance to give them more comps before they send the appraisal in. And there's a word for that, but I don't remember. But that's the biggest difference. I thought, well, that's pretty cool that you at least give you one more shot before you turn this in. Because once that appraisal gets turned in, you're done. FHA, that appraisal sticks with the house for 6 months. 6 months. So it doesn't matter. Now you go resell it, and it goes FHA. That appraisal's coming back. If it came in $10,000 low, you're like, forget it. We'll sell it to someone else. Now you have to go conventional because FHA is going to use that appraisal no matter what lender has it. Conventional, it just sticks with that particular lender, and if you get another loan, another buyer, it'll go to a whole different appraisal process. But the FHA will not.
Will that apply for a VA? So it's already flagged as a...
I think so. I think VA and FHA mirror each other really pretty close with the same kind of stuff they're looking for. The only difference is that they definitely allow you the chance to make sure the value's there, because they just think all the buyers for VA, they think they're smart enough, they should know they're not going to overpay for a house, so they give them a chance to come back.
But it's the same case number that's assigned to that house?
For FHA?
For FHA and VA, is it the same?
I don't do VA yet, so I don't know that for a fact. For FHA, yes, they transfer, because we do the appraisal for ABC company lender, okay, and now they transfer to XYZ company. We don't redo the appraisal, we don't retype it, we don't do anything. It just gets transferred straight into them. And we don't have to do anything. We don't have to change your name, we don't have to change anything. It just goes straight over. So once you get an FHA appraisal, that's your number, and you're stuck for the next 6 months.
So let's say you have another buyer go into escrow to purchase that property. Does that mean they have to pay for the appraisal or not, if that appraisal is already there?
They shouldn't. I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know if the lender's charged again, because maybe they review it again. I don't know, but it sticks with the property. They don't usually call me back out to go do another appraisal, and it goes right over to them. So they shouldn't, but I don't know for a fact if lenders do or not.
No, just case just like that.
Yeah. But we do them all the time. So you can hire people. If you go take a listing and they're saying, and you know it's worth $500, and they think it's worth $600. you can say, well, let's hire an appraiser and come up with a number so you know exactly what. It's not me just trying to sell your price higher.
And that house already has a case number assigned because it's an FHA. Can we overwrite it with your new appraisal?
No.
What sticks with the house?
What if the home since then has upgraded and has made changes to the home within the last 6 months?
That's, sure.
On the comparable sales, some of those the closings do not go through the MLS. Would you also suggest calling title?
Absolutely. Especially on a neighborhood where you're having a tough time with values. when you're having a tough time with values and you don't have very many sales, there might be a for sale by owner or something that comes through the MLS that Lisa would have for you that you couldn't find on the MLS system. So definitely, I would definitely do that. And one last thing just want to share one more adjustment I forgot about that I want to show you on. You guys go to page 14. It's an MLS page. It's on closing costs, and I'll end with this. When you stack closing costs, or anytime you guys, the agents have to put the number in here of what they, did for closing costs, and that one is $7,000, that's going to be an adjustment on the appraisal. So that 407, I'm taking 7,000 off of that comp. So now that comp is 400. So if you're looking at comps going, hey, I got a 407 model match, I'm an escrow 407, I'm good. You're not. Because it's going to go all the way down to 400,000. So whatever, be careful when you guys write as agents what you write in there, because that number is coming off the appraisal. It's almost a straight finance. Again, you do paired sales analysis, when most appraisers take that number directly and put it straight across. So you don't need to put on there if you paid a commission, because you're always going to pay a commission, but it's going to be mostly for closing costs, or you try to fix something in lieu of doing repairs. Robert?
How much weight, especially in this market when the interest is thin, can you put on pendings? If they're pending and the agent tells you what the price is and all that, how much weight on your appraisal can you put on that?
Well, you put weight on the very next sheet on here is what is a company that I use for trends. Is the market going up, the market going down? Can we make an adjustment for time? Maybe values are, especially at the beginning of this year, values really jumped here in Corona and jumped everywhere. And I was having a hard time bringing appraisals in because comps were lower than what was selling. So if you can really prove that, let's say your model match was 475 6 months ago, and then 2 months ago it's 495, you're in escrow at 515, but you have a pending at 525 and the listing's at 535, then you can show a trend of values going up. Now, this form, if you look on page, if everyone's on page 15 where it says medium comp sales price, and it says last 7 to 12 months, last 4 to 6 months, I put a little star there, and current 3 months. So it went from 315 to 320 to 332, 500. That looks like it's trending up to me that value should be increasing in that neighborhood. But for us to give an increasing amount, it has to go up 10%. So I don't do an adjustment until this says it's up at 10%. So when it's only going up a couple percent, I don't make an adjustment for time either way, going up or going down. And I go off of this form. And it's a company that we hired to give us, and I can put this on every appraisal or send it to the underwriter saying this is why I just going up or just going down. If it says increasing, then I can go back and make an adjustment for time, which might be what you're talking about when values have gone up, where you can adjust 1% a month, or whatever you can figure through paired sales analysis what that number is.
Your 10% is the past 12 months you're speaking of?
What's that?
Your 10% that must increase, it must be in the last 12 months?
From the current 3 months to the 3 months before that. And that's a lot for me to make that adjustment. So that's what I go off of. But when I don't know if other appraisers use this exact form, but again, to prove your case, when you need your value higher because values are going up, bring 3 months ago it sold for this. Now it's selling for this. Now you can show the values are at least going up, and he might make a time adjustment up for you if you're like, well, that's the only thing I have to make this number work. But you can show the values are going up. But I've run into that a few times where realtors said, yeah, the values are going up, but mine's in escrow 500 and I have 2 listings at 490. I can't prove that values are going up when they can buy the same house for $10,000 cheaper. One last thing, and then I'll be done. But on condo complexes, be careful on those because you usually have to use model matches from there. I have to usually use 2 in there. Usually I use 3 in there that are closed from the same condo complex. So it's really hard to try to push any kind of value from a condo complex. So usually have model matches, and if not, it's 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom. I can make an adjustment for. But if everything's sell for $250 in there, and you're at $280 because the conoplex down the road is selling for $280, chances are that value's not going to come in for you. Any other questions?
Did you guys get a lot of nuggets from that? Right? That's awesome. Thank you so much, Scott. I really appreciate you.